Eclipse. Yeah, it's literally the word in Icelandic. It's
What is the word?
eclipse.
Gesundheit?
So yeah, there was an eclipse. Hi everyone.
Moving swiftly along.
like
Eclipse.
a breeze in the wind.
You know, I really do like Eclipse. It's a great board game, but it takes way too long.
I personally think it takes the right amount of time. Then again, I like wasting my time.
I
Um,
I feel like any board game should not take 6+ hours to play.
when has it ever taken 6 hours?
Um, I have many eyewitnesses for 6 hour plus games. Many
I
eyewitnesses.
hmm. Maybe I was having too much fun to remember.
But we're not talking about the board game, actually. I was just making a funny joke. We're talking about the solar eclipse.
And welcome to the blank space, where we fill it in with
The
something.
Solar Eclipse Podcast. We record only on solar eclipses.
Oh, you mean the mini black hole?
Yes. So, I have a small thing. So I
Okay.
watched the solar eclipse. Did you watch it, Ant?
No.
Okay. I watched it. I was lucky enough to have coworkers who were able to get their hands on glasses to actually look at it. They were weirdly hard to find, but
Especially when you don't realize it's happening.
especially then. But we went out, looked at it. It was great. But I was ready to watch it like on a live stream or something like that because I didn't know if I'd be able to get out of work to actually go outside and look at it since it was the middle of my workday. Now I set up the live stream and I realized that NASA had set up a bunch of different places to watch it. They had set up their own thing on NASA.gov. It was a live stream of a bunch of different places, like Washington D.C. I think there was one for Oregon. There was a bunch all over the U.S. There were places to watch.
Okay.
There was on their official YouTube channel you could watch it, but my place of choice was Twitch.
All right. All right. Some people like dumpster fires. It's good.
Look, that dumpster fire was amazing. It was actually very well contained. I mean, there wasn't like people just like throwing out slurs all over the place. It was generally well contained, but there was lots of jokes, lots of gaffes going on during it. People just asking when are the aliens coming. One person asking, "Are they? I can't see the eclipse. Am I blind?" There were people making Fire Nation jokes. Those were my favorite. It was a good time all around. I was having a great time. I honestly, if nothing had happened, if the eclipse had like I don't know somehow fluked, I still would have had a good time just watching Twitch chat go to town.
Okay.
It was like watching Twitch plays Pokemon, only with the solar eclipse. There,
Like,
there were some people like just trying to make it go backwards, being like go back, 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 left, left, right, up, down, up, start. It's a good time.
that sounds like a time.
What was your experience? Did you have any? I know you found out about it late, but were you able to do anything for it?
Since I didn't have the goggles, I didn't feel like staring at a sun. So no, I didn't. I just kind of stayed inside, kind of deal. I didn't even bother.
Okay. You didn't talk to anyone about it. Like you didn't have like I guess you didn't work today. I guess you didn't have people like coming up to you and asking you about it.
Nah, nah. I pretty much it was a day off, and yeah, I first of all I didn't like find out to it till like 2 days ago, for one.
Mm.
So I did no prep for it, and it was way too late to even like get anything done for it. So yeah, I kind of just ended up not even trying.
All right.
I mean, I can see how people can find it interesting, but the weirdest thing that people were saying was like how scary it is.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to look up pictures of it, it is like entire. Well, depending on where you are in the U.S. And that is the thing. This is a U.S. based solar eclipse. There was some other countries that could see part of it, but like the total eclipse just basically ran right across the U.S.
Hmm.
So when you were looking at it, if you were in the United States, you got a really good view of it. It's scary, man, especially if like you don't have glasses, because basically the whole area around you goes dark. You look up, and the sun is gone except for a big circle in the sky, and there's a big black circle around it. It's kind of terrifying if I mean, I can't
I mean,
imagine you don't
I
know.
can see it being scary as shit if you didn't see it coming.
Oh
Like
yeah,
you like that. Then it's like, oh, okay, yeah, it's completely understandable. But you know,
I had some people at
otherwise,
work.
I would otherwise just see it as kind of like neat, if anything. You know.
Actually, little funny story. I had a somebody at work talking to me about it and being like, "Oh, like, is it dangerous to look at for even like a couple of seconds?" I'm like, if you look at the eclipse at all, you are doing damage to your eyes. You might not go blind for a couple of seconds, but you will damage your eyes. So don't look, period. And she's like, "Well, what about like if people like are walking around and they just doing groceries and they happen to look up?" I'm like, "Well, you're going to get your eyes hurt. Like that's going to happen."
Okay.
But it was good. It was interesting. Um the last one, it's kind of interesting to actually see. The last solar eclipse to happen across the United States was, I think, something like 40 years ago, something like that.
Uh huh.
Something like that. Um, since you had missed it, Ant, I looked up on your behalf when the next solar eclipse would be happening, since it's not an everyday thing. Um, I mean, you just gotta wait 7 years this time. It's not nearly as long. 2024.
I feel like I'll care more about things then.
My emotions towards the solar eclipse will skyrocket in the next 7 years. Should play the stock markets with that kind of enthusiasm.
You know, I feel like I'll be looking more for like little bits of happiness at that point. You know what? I feel like yeah, I'll care about more things then.
At that point, you'll be like, "Yeah, I care. I do care now." Yeah. Well, 2024. See you all then. It's actually gonna be closer to us on the East Coast then, so that'll be interesting.
Sweet, sweet. We can get like a total eclipse. And if people save their glasses,
Ooh.
they won't
Speaking
have to
of
pay for it twice.
glasses, speaking of glasses, 3D glasses,
Okay.
movies.
All right.
I've got a topic for you.
You lost me.
Oh, okay, hold on, let's go back. So, eclipse. The moon was in front of the sun.
All right.
Okay. Okay, you
Okay.
bought glasses for it.
Okay. All right. I'm picking up what you put
You
down.
you put them on your face.
All right. Yeah. Okay. It's in my
Okay.
pocket.
Like another time that you put glasses on your face
Uh huh.
when you go to the movies.
Oh, okay. It's on the floor.
You put the 3D ones on, and then you can see
Oh,
the Smurfs put their hands out of the screen and grab you.
what's
That's
a
how they
smart?
steal your soul.
Um,
But yeah, movies.
yeah, movies.
How often do you go to the movies?
Less than once a month.
Okay, okay. I'm guessing it's money or lack of interest or anything like that.
It's more along the lines of yeah, lack of interest.
All right.
There's usually only like a few movies a year that I'm really interested in seeing.
Hmm. Well, let me run this by you and see if you'd be interested. Um, this blew up online, specifically Reddit, a week or two ago, and I've been following it, trying to see what the reaction is to people who use this service. But there's a service called MoviePass.
Okay.
Now, their service, their subscription, is you pay them a flat fee per month, and you're allowed to see one movie every day for a whole month in the theater.
Okay.
Now that does include 3D or IMAX, but you can go every day. You can go out to the movie theater, give them your card, swipe it, send you in, and go watch a movie every single day, 30, 31 days out of the month.
Okay.
Now, what would you say What would you pay for a service like that? Or what would you imagine a service like that costing?
I mean, I would initially think something around like probably at least something like $40 or $50 a month or something.
You're
Bare
actually
minimum.
you're actually not far off. So originally, this service has actually been around for years, I found out. This isn't some new thing that just sprung up. They've been going for years with this. Their original price for this was $50 for unlimited movies every month, $50 a month, which I mean still is a good deal if you go out to the movies like more than a few times a month.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but you pick up this and you get unlimited movies for a month. Well, one movie a day for a month. They recently changed their pricing model to $10 a month for unlimited movies. Just $10 flat a month.
That is absurdly cheap. What was it beforehand?
50.
Oh, so I was right. Okay.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
that's what I was saying. Like beforehand, that's what this card cost. $50 a month, and you got to see unlimited, like as many movies as you wanted. Well, okay, no, sorry, one movie a day. That was an important distinction I found out. You couldn't just spend all day in the movie theater, just kind of sitting. You see one movie a day. But you go in, but it used to be $50, and they changed it to $10 a month, and people are blowing up about it. And it's not like, and that's the other important distinction is that this is not just like, one movie theater somewhere out in like Colorado that no one has heard of. It's a lot of movie theaters. In fact, before the show I told Ant 2 movie theaters around us that actually support the card, and relatively close. It's not like they're very far away.
Yeah, they aren't too far. I'm looking over on their website right now.
Yeah,
It's kind of
exactly.
weird.
So the catch of this really doesn't seem to be that big. Now, I did do some research into it, and me and you were talking a little bit before the show about this.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think the price is so low? What do you think the catch, the quote unquote catch is for this?
So my thing is that I think it's because actually movie theaters themselves don't make their money off of ticket sales.
Mm-hmm.
That's how the movie gets their money, right? How they usually get their money is by selling concessions.
Right.
That's my biggest idea on it.
Yeah, and that's something interesting. That's not the exact way they make their money, but that is an interesting idea that now that people aren't paying 10, 15, $20 for a movie ticket, that money is still in their pocket to go spend at the concession stand.
Mm-hmm.
But there is something on the background that is making this really appealing to movie theaters.
Uh-oh.
They are using this data and selling it to marketing firms so people know what movies are popular. So for example, like you would say like, "Oh, this customer went to go see Dunkirk 6 times in the theater with his free ticket." So obviously Dunkirk was really popular with this audience. Then they take all the people and aggregate them together, send it off to marketing firms, and marketing firms realize what works and what doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not very intrusive. I mean, obviously people know what movies you're seeing, but I mean, they know what movies you're seeing. That's not a huge deal. That's not a humongous deal unless you're really nervous about the movie you're seeing. And then
I
there's another
mean,
end
hey, you don't know how many times I want to see 50 Shades.
How many times have you been there? How many? And then there's another side of this coin, this 8-sided coin apparently, because there's so many sides to it, is that
Okay.
movie ticket sales have been lower than ever. Like movie theaters have not been doing so great
Okay.
in ticket sales. Like people usually wait for it to come out on demand, online, on Netflix, on DVD, whatever, because it's much cheaper. But now with this, it's like, oh, I can just pay a flat fee and go see as many movies as I want. Sure, absolutely.
Hmm. I
It
wonder
gets
if
it
this is
gets
going to
people
be a
out in
good
the
thing.
theater to go see a movie, pretty much.
Hmm. I wonder how this is going to affect things, though. You know?
That's actually the next question I was going to ask you. Was that if this gains enough traction, which it kind of is, do you see movie theaters doing this for their own brand?
Maybe like if you're part of like how like each kind of movie theater has like gets their own type of service like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can definitely see that happening. I can see that becoming popular.
Yeah,
I mean,
like,
like I know like some theaters have been doing good, like the ones that get like the that focus more on the service itself,
right.
right? Those ones have been doing that still okay. Like AMC, like a bunch of the AMC's around us have like those leather recliners now, and all that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
So I think those who make it more of a service to go out to, those are going to do okay.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, and what's it called? AMC in particular already has a rewards card where you buy this many popcorns, you get a free popcorn or something like that, or you buy this many
Hmm.
tickets. They might as well just turn it into a full-fledged membership at that point.
Yeah, that's right.
Now, I will distinctly say I don't see that as a good thing because that basically turns into, oh, instead of me owning Movie Pass, you have to own AMC's membership and United Artists membership and Cinemark's membership and all these different companies to go to different theaters if like you want to see a different theater experience or something like that.
Hmm. Yeah, like
So
you can definitely see this being a little bit annoying.
yeah,
But
I can see it being a little bit annoying, but I can see it see it being a net positive in the sense of that movie tickets will kind of be not as big an issue. Where just you don't pay $20 to go see the new Avengers. You paid your time at the beginning of the month. Now you just go and see it.
I guess they're trying to engender like the idea of going regularly to the movies,
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing.
Yeah, try and get audience participation back into it because nothing. Well, depending who you are, depending the movie, nothing sucks more than going to a movie and being the only person in the theater.
Um, you clearly just don't like going alone to theaters.
I'll say this: if it's a terrible movie, I would love to go with somebody and riff on a movie. But going to a movie theater by myself and being at
Huh?
a
Hold up.
comedy feels way different to be in a theater with a theater full of people laughing.
Well, you just made me realize something, right? Like, because if I got this service, like, I'd be way more willing to go out to the theaters just in general.
Yeah,
Just like if like my biggest thing is like I don't like spending all the money, just to go out to a movie and figure out that it sucks kind of deal, right?
hmm
So like I'm usually pretty careful when I go out to movies, but with something like this, I just be like, you know what? I'll just go.
yeah.
I already
If I
got the
don't like
service
it,
a month.
whatever. It was just two
I'll,
hours of my time.
or like it's halfway through the movie, I'm like, well, I'm done with this. I'm just gonna walk out.
Yeah. Although that might be something that theaters are wary of, that it'll increase a culture of people walking out of movies because there's no attachment to it. It's
Oh
just
yeah,
like,
I guess
oh,
that's a that's
I,
that's
I,
a thing too, isn't it? Huh?
I still have my membership. It's not like I can't really go up to the theater and say, can I have a refund? But I can just go see another movie tomorrow. I mean, it sucks that I saw a crappy movie, but I mean, it might encourage a culture of just walking out of it.
It's possible. It's possible.
There's also a chance that it might encourage people to go to a theater. No, I was gonna say maybe for people to go out to a theater and not take it as seriously, like go into the theater and just like talk or or like bring like a Nintendo Switch in there and be like, oh yeah, I like to play video games and watch movies. So I mean, I'm just gonna go in and see a movie and do that because I can come back tomorrow and do the
Okay,
same thing.
now that you
But
brought that up, actually, you're thinking that's not going to be a thing, but now that you say that, that's totally going to be a thing.
I don't know. I think that could be a thing, but I feel like the counter to that is that theaters can still kick people out.
You're right. You're right. They still can kick them out, but it doesn't mean that's not going to be less of a problem. That's not going to be a problem still, though.
Yeah, I don't know. It would be interesting if it were to happen, and Honestly, I see it as being a net positive for the theaters and the movie-going public in general, because people get out to go see more movies that they want to see because it doesn't cost them a heart transplant to go see a bunch of movies, and the movie theaters get all this data about what movies work and what don't. Their theaters are always packed, like all the time, and that's great for concession sales and all that.
Yeah, I can see that. I can definitely agree with that. Like, I can see it be like making going out to movies like way easier, right? It just kind of makes me like how they're gonna make me wonder like how is this gonna affect how movie theaters make their money though, right? Like, are they gonna make are concessions gonna become even worse than they already are, or like, or will this cause them to make them more reasonable, or I just don't
Uh,
really know what effect it's gonna have. You know what I mean? Or because you know how the movies themselves, not like the theaters, but the movies themselves make their money as usually off the first set amount of sales from theaters, right? I think it's like the first what is it like 2 months of sales or something like it go directly to the movie itself and how much it makes. Like how that affect how movies themselves make money.
it would be interesting to see. It would definitely be a business model change. There's no doubt about that. Like things could not stay exactly how they are, and just ticket pricing change. There's no way that could happen. But I feel like theaters could evolve very well into this, because I mean, in theory, if you got rid of ticket sales, if it was just walk in, show them your card, and then go, people could just walk in. People could just walk in and just worry about what food am I going to get and what theater do I have to get to. That's the only things they'd really have to worry about. So you get rid of a person who has to take a ticket or sell tickets. You just worry about concessions and somebody to make sure that they grab the ticket. You have
Yeah,
a
you are right
constant
about that.
customer base always coming in. It
You're right about that. So I guess that would make people more since they don't have to pay the ticket price right there, and they can just spend that money on concessions instead.
Yeah, exactly. So
Hmm.
it would be interesting to see what would happen exactly, but I don't know. I do not know. It'd be
Yeah,
interesting to see because
because I mean, like if I'm not paying like 10, $12 for a ticket, right? Like I'm definitely more willing just to buy something right at the theater.
mm-hmm.
Like that's for sure. Like I mean, not that I do this, but I feel like people would be less willing to just like like sneak snacks in. Just because since you're only doing $10 a month, you just get like what, like some Twizzlers there instead of the Wawa beforehand. You know what I mean?
Hmm. Yeah, I think it would be a culture change because it's solving for a problem where people don't have enough money to buy a movie ticket, concessions, and well, yeah, just movie tickets and concessions and popcorn and all that
Mm-hmm.
stuff. So I guess if you take away the ticket sale, there's still gonna be people who say like, "Oh, the candy costs too much," but
But you're also going to have a lot more people that are going to be willing just to go with the convenience of it being there, not
mm-hmm.
have to like sneak it in and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. It would be interesting to see how it would change. Now we're all talking hypotheticals here. We're not talking like actually gonna happen, but I
Well, it's
see
not
it.
like, well, this isn't illegal. It's not illegal to bring in candy to a movie theater.
No, it's not. It's not. But I mean, just in general, like the whole movie membership experience,
Hmm.
like definitely is pie in the sky right now. It's not actually happening, but I think it's. I think it would be interesting to see all the different theaters take on how to change their business model about it. I see some of them saying like, "Oh, we can charge more for candy because people haven't bought this," but I see it as a bad thing because who's gonna pay $15 for a thing of popcorn? I don't see it. Um,
Yeah, I
but
don't. I mean, like, they're definitely going to have to be. I feel like there definitely needs to be a better pricing model for what they do because some of the things they charge for are just ridiculously expensive, like to a
yeah,
horrible degree. That even just for convenience sake, like you don't want to buy them.
yeah, it's kind of ridiculous. And I see more successful theaters taking like the the money they make from memberships and saying, "Oh, well, people are already here. Let's entice them to buy candy by, saying like, "Hey, member I and here's the other thing. Would memberships be required or could you still sell tickets to a theater? Could you say, "Oh, do you want to see unlimited movies for a whole month for $15 or do you want to buy a movie ticket for 15?"
Hmm.
And
I see what
and
you're
for some
saying.
people, they only go out to the theater once. They only want to. They don't want to see movies every single day.
Yeah, and let's say like it's not like a person's going to be using that every single day of that month, or even every month. Because you're just not. I mean, you're going to have the membership, and sometimes you're just not going to go out to the movies that month. You just don't, you know. And that
Mm-hmm.
could be one way that they make up their money that way as well. Like you're not always going to the movies every month. You're not always going to want to see something in theaters, right? And you could end up just keeping that on your statement anyway, and it just kind of rolls over and be like, oh, I still have the movie pass, and we go this month, but we haven't gone in 2 months. That kind of deal too.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know, man. I see it going a lot of ways, but I think the future might be some kind of membership.
Yeah, memberships.
Do you do you think there's ever going to be a time where you can pay to watch movies that are in the theater at home at the same time they're in theaters?
If that's going to be a happen, you would probably still have to pay the movie price.
Yeah, it would be probably pricey, but like that's something I've thought about before is why is there such a big distinction between when the movie is in the theater and when it is at home in front of you at your own TV?
I
Cuz
mean, like, I feel like that's something that they would want to avoid, right? Because, like, it's definitely a lesser experience to see it out of the movie theaters. Like,
yeah. Now, I would say though, there are plenty of movies I've seen in the theater that I don't need to be in a theater to see.
that's fair. Yeah, that's fair. But
If I'm going to go see Lord of the Rings, I want to see that on a huge screen. I want to see that in a massive theater. If I'm seeing Batman, The Dark Knight, I want to go see that in a big screen. But there's plenty of movies I would say that like I'm perfectly fine with seeing on my own TV or my computer screen. I didn't need to see Chef in the movie theater, even though it was very nice to see. I could have watched it at home,
okay.
but
I
that's
mean,
something.
like, I would feel that most movies would be assisted by the cinematic experience than having it at home. I still feel that most movies you still get a better feel if you do it in theaters.
Hmm. Yeah.
But I feel like that's what this kind of service is trying to combat. You know, just trying to combat the fact that people don't want to go out to the movies anymore. Kind of deal. That's what I'm getting from this, at least.
Yeah. It's a good way to combat it. I mean, if I had the luxury of not even luxury, if I had this membership, I would be going out not every day because I'd be so tired of that so
Hmm.
quickly, but like once a week, maybe twice a week.
I'll think. You know what? I'll probably think about getting it when Deadpool comes out.
Yeah, there you go.
I mean, like that. That'll be my test. You know, when that comes out, if I just have to do $10 a month, I'd be willing to do that.
Hmm. Yeah,
And if I find the service worthwhile, I mean, I can always cancel it. It's not like you you need to sign up for it now kind of deal, right? This isn't a limited offer or anything.
no. It's sticking around.
Okay, sweet.
Yeah, I've thought about it a couple of times. I'm still on the fence about it, but we'll see. I mean,
I mean,
it has piqued my interest.
it's literally costs the same as a regular movie ticket, so you might as well, right?
Yeah, exactly. I don't
Well,
know.
I know I saw another little bit piece of cinematic gold.
Cinematic gold.
Yeah, cinematic gold.
What would that be?
It was a little thing called Age of Empires 4.
Man, we're touching on something that is super recent,
Like
like
ridiculously recent.
like a few hours ago recent.
Like I may edit the podcast today.
Yeah, right. No, it's this trailer came out. God, probably like a few hours ago. I think something like that. It was
At least by
definitely
the
at
time of
least
the recording of this podcast.
yeah. At the time of this recording, it came out today. So man,
We are never this topical.
yeah, we haven't been topical in we haven't been topical in a little bit, but
That's for sure.
certainly this is very interesting to see. What you being the strategy guy? Because I don't have I have stuff to say about it, but obviously you are the man we're gonna turn to for this. What are your thoughts about this trailer?
Okay, so here's the thing, right? I am extremely in love with the Age of Empires games, everything that was done with them, you know. Uh, oh, I love strategy games in general, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this trailer has me super excited for the whole genre, basically. I'm kind of hoping this is going to be like a little restart, a little kick, for like the RTS genre, right?
Yeah, it has been
But
it has been a little bit since we've had an official Age of Empires game, correct?
this is true. It has been a while. We've had re-releases, right? We've had redos, stuff like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that's about it. And that was with Age of Empires 2. That's only because like a bunch of modders like really pushed forward. They actually got licensed by Microsoft
Hmm.
to do an official patch of the game. So, but anyway, the point is, it's interesting to see that they're going to be pushing this. To me, it looks like they're going to be going down the route of they're going to be diverting from what they normally did, which is stick with a small bit of history and kind of work with it. Like before in Age of Empires 1, it was basically from the Stone Age to, I would say, the classical era, right? Romans and such.
Yeah,
And
it looks like it looks kind of like a civilization kind of feel where it's not just one era, it's all of history.
yeah, it's kind of going more of an Empire Earth style, except it doesn't go into the modern day and industrial era and such like
Mm-hmm.
that. Everything up until colonialism. That's what it's kind of looking like it's going.
Yeah,
And,
absolutely.
and see, here's the thing, right? It's Relic that's making it, and Relic is a great studio, right? But how strategy games have been sold recently has me extremely worried how they're going to do this game.
Can you give a specific example?
Yeah, yeah. So, for instance, like Company of Heroes, right? It's a great series, right? But they have different factions that you have to buy from. You have to buy just to play, right? And you've seen this with Creative Assembly, right? Where they have these strategy games that were very free, very open, from the earlier titles to you actually have to pay per faction to just play the game, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm super worried that's what they're going to do here.
Hmm.
Because in the original Age of Empires games, right, you can pick from like 12 different nations and such like that. Like at a minimum kind of deal. And that's just like in the base game kind of thing, right? And they'd all be different. They'd all have like their own little play styles that you can do and all little bonuses and that kind of thing, right? And I'm super worried that they would only start off with like something like 6 nations, and then you'd have to pay DLC to get like more. It has me worried how they're going to execute this.
Hmm.
Because I don't really trust how publishers have been treating strategy games as of late.
Okay. So you're worried that like they will create a base game of a small amount of what you're looking for, and then just tack more and more on top of it.
Exactly, exactly.
And not in,
I'm
I guess, in a good distinction is not in a free way. It's going to be a here's a new race, or here's a new uh, civilization of people, or here's a new leader, or something like that.
Yeah, something along those lines. Like I'm kind of worried like how they're going to try and put this product together and how it's going to end up looking. You
Hmm.
know, because that's the biggest fear in these type of games now. I mean, just look at Civilization, right? That's a strategy game, and they, I mean, what you have to pay per nation for their new DLCs, right? I mean,
I haven't
that's kind of ridiculous for Civ for the new Civilization game.
I haven't been keeping up with it. I know the base game did come with a fair amount of civilizations, like the
Oh, they
basics.
did, they did, but like paying per civilization just seems wrong, you know?
Hmm.
Like that's like if you're going to do like DLC like that, at least have it like a full DLC pack, you know? Like include like I don't know, like a pack of like 4 or 5 or something like that. Because they did that in Age of Empires too, where they had like an additional thing where they like added like a bunch of the Native American tribes kind of deal, right, from the early colonial eras and such, right? And that kind of stuff is okay because it's a full on DLC, right? Like it's adding like a significant amount of content. I'm okay with stuff like that. I'm just worried that they'll completely piecemeal it, though. You know what I mean?
And you were saying Relic has like somewhat of a history of this.
A little bit, a little bit. Especially with the Dawn of War series, right? Um, where they would basically be, they would add like a race or two into a game with like their Dawn of War series, and it would be like a whole, what is it, like a $20 expansion or something like that. I mean, most of the times in the original Dawn of War series, I would say it was pretty worth it, just because of how much more they added onto the game, and usually they reworked an entire new single player campaign with it as well. So it felt like you were getting something out of the deal, right? So with those, that was okay because they gave like solid mechanics and updates that felt worthwhile for what you were paying, right?
Hmm.
But in Dawn of War 2, you when they started off with that game, right? They they literally had 4 playable races going down from I think it was the 10 they had before, and then you had to pay like singly for new races and stuff like that to play as, and that just felt so cheap. Like they didn't go wide enough in their approach. It felt
It didn't feel
like
like this deserved to be uh,
sequel.
a full sequel.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and with Dawn of War 3, sus. Ugh, I don't even want to talk about that.
Well, all right. Let me give you a brief pause for a moment.
Help me, Drew.
Um,
Help me, Drew.
I will attempt to. I'm not as familiar with this as you are. Um, Now, the difference with Age of Empires versus their Company of Heroes and Dawn of War series is that they're partnering with Microsoft on this one.
I believe so,
Microsoft is their
yes.
publisher. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Microsoft was the publisher of the other games. Yeah, no, it was actually
No,
Sega.
it was
Sega.
okay.
Yeah, Sega was
I
the
I
publisher.
know for the original Dawn of War series, it was THQ.
Right. But with Microsoft being the publisher of the game, do you think that would change how they would do their business model at all?
I don't know, right? Because Microsoft definitely backed Dawn. I mean, Age of Empires 1, 2, 3, and Age of Mythology, and they pretty much let them do their own thing there, right? This is like one of the classic Microsoft, like kind of
Franchises.
Yes, yes. Like this is one of the great ones. So I don't know. I don't know what they would try with this. It looks like they have a lot of the original development teams working on this still, right? Like the guys that actually founded the original company that worked on the series, which was
Right.
Microprose. So that looks good. I just don't know how much creative control they're still going to have over it, you know?
Hmm. Well, I mean, just having a brief look at what Microsoft Studios kind of works as a publisher for, they have a decent track record of games that are not like laden with DLC, sort of like what you said with Civilization or anything like that. Like they're the studio slash publisher that helped bring out Halo Wars, which had problems, but excessive DLC is not one of them.
Yeah, you're
Um,
right. You're right. Like Microsoft isn't really the issue that I see here, right?
one thing I'm thinking in particular is that
Okay.
the the publisher sometimes is is the entity behind pushing DLC. You look at some publishers. Sometimes some people will point the fingers towards like, oh, Warner Brothers is making the studio behind Shadow of War put microtransactions and a loot box system into a single player game, where it looks like Microsoft isn't making that kind of thing happen, or at least that's not one of their themes right now.
Hmm. I mean, in truth, the only thing we really have to go on right now is an announcement trailer, and I think it was PC Gamer that did a little thing on it.
Right,
Rather
exactly.
than, so we really don't have much to go on. We just know who's publishing it, and we know like they have a bit of the original design team behind it. It seems, right?
Hmm.
But other than that, we really don't have much to go on.
Yeah.
And it just kind of, and knowing how strategy games have been being treated, it just has me super worried, like how this is going to turn out. I also worry that like the scale that they're going for may be too much. You know what I mean?
How do you mean?
Okay, so supposedly it's going to be doing everything between like the Stone Age and like late 1700s. Like
Hmm.
that's supposedly all they're going to go through. And I don't know if that could work well, like completely well. Like I worry like it's going to be like too much of an expanse for them to cover correctly, and like everything still feels nice. Uh, I mean, Relic has not been very good at keeping up old mechanics from older games, right? Like the original Dawn of War series was a little bit known for its more base building mechanics, and basically, but by in Dawn of War 2, they try to get away from that. And the Age of Empires games are very much built up on like building your own like town and getting your economy running and all that kind of stuff, so you can fight your wars and such like that. And I just don't know if they're going to be able to give that level of interest into it. Like it's like, are you going to be able to feel like you're still building a town, or is it going to be like this little complex that you just build all your stuff out of, or how are they going to try and approach this game? Are they going to try and approach it like very very fine, like very finely, like they just only strip like basic parts from like the histories and stuff like that, or they're going to have it like try and be too expansive? Like I I I can't really say until like there's any gameplay coming out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess that's definitely the thing. Is we have to keep track of like this is only based off of a CG trailer with zero gameplay. I don't even think there's a release date in the trailer.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is all complete speculation, but it.
I don't like to track history, the track record. You know?
Yeah, but I get where you're coming. I get where you're coming from. Where the developer themselves makes you worried
Hmm.
more than anything else.
Yeah,
But
because like, yeah, that's the gist of it.
one thing, one thing I was gonna ask is, do you think you'll be picking it up? I mean,
Y-
unless of course the game becomes completely awful. It comes out and it's universally panned. Do you think you'll probably be picking it up?
You know what? I think this will be one of the ones that I'm gonna have to wait until I hear a bit about it first. Know what it actually is.
Yeah, that.
Because I thought I was gonna pick up Dawn of War 3, and Dawn of War 3 just turned out to be hot garbage.
Yeah, you. I'm guessing you kind of dropped that very quickly.
I didn't even pick it up. That's how badly it reviewed.
Oh, okay.
Like I'm a big Warhammer fan, right? And I love Dawn of War 1. Dawn of War 2 wasn't my thing, but I can tell they were going in the right direction. That they were trying to do something right.
Hmm.
But the direction they went with Dawn of War 3 just pissed off everybody. It didn't have the base building from Dawn of War 1. It didn't have mechanics that made sense to the Warhammer universe, right? Like it had a few art assets that just didn't make sense with each other, right? It went a creative direction which it didn't really respect the source material, and it felt like they were trying to people please too much that they pleased nobody. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And I'm worried they'll take that same approach and slap it onto Age of Empires 4.
There's a chance of that. Believe me, I'm not discounting any of this.
You know,
I'm just.
when I saw this trailer, I was super excited. You know, I couldn't stop like smiling for like a solid 20 minutes, and then I started thinking.
And then you thought about it, and you were like, oh no, oh no,
This is
no.
like it's like when I saw that World of Tanks was going to be doing a Warhammer 40K thing, right? They're doing a Warhammer 40K game. I was like, oh, that's awesome, right? And then I saw it was the Blitz one, which is the shitty mobile version. I was so happy until I read the fine print.
Mm, yeah, that's always the thing. I hope it turns out okay, because the reality of it is that we don't really have a ton of new RTS in the market that's really, really kind of like keeping popularity. I guess is the best way I could put it. Is keeping a
Mm-hmm.
zeitgeist around it, because any RTS I can think of that came out in the last year or 2 years, I can't think of any that are still regularly played.
Besides StarCraft.
Besides what?
Besides StarCraft.
Besides StarCraft, of course. Like, I mean, I'm trying to think of the biggest ones that just came out. Like Dawn of War, I'd be really interested to see the numbers on that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm actually looking it up right now. Dawn of War Trey. Dawn of War 3. There we go. Dawn of War 3. Dawn of War 3. It's still keeping a steady player base. It's got like 30 to 40,000 people playing.
Yeah,
Still doing okay, but
yeah.
certainly.
It hasn't like crashed into the ground. I personally just don't like it. Like the type of style they went.
Right. It's interesting to see, but I'm trying to think of like
What are the
some.
recent strategy games that came out kind of deal, and like are they holding up at all?
Yeah, because I remember Grey Goo made a good swing at it, where they seemed to be the hotness for about a week, and then I just
Yeah,
didn't hear anything
and
about it.
yeah, that kind of fell off. I know the Company of Heroes series that's a little bit popular, but that's a different style of strategy game, right?
Yeah.
Because Company of Heroes is more like a squad based kind of thing, right? Where base building is like really secondary, while the Age of Empires series, where the base is like half the game kind of deal.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm not really a big fan of that.
I mean, that's what I love though. That's my bread and butter right there.
I don't know. I enjoy a base builder kind of RTS versus a you have one base kind of deal.
What do you mean?
Like, did you ever play Command and Conquer 4 or Halo Wars?
Yeah, I played Halo Wars.
Yeah, Halo Wars had that where it was just you had one base that had everything on it, and your real thing was just creating units. There was
Yeah,
research and other buildings to make, but I mean,
well,
your
yeah, that's the
primary
type
thing
of
was
that's the type of thing Company of Heroes does as well, right?
uh,
Right. And I'm more into the games that like let you like build your own base, or you can build outposts further
uh
above, and like you can do that kind of thing. Get in like building like a little city kind of deal.
okay.
I kind of like that kind of thing.
Okay, I was mistaken. My bad. I thought you were saying it the opposite way. Yeah, no, I completely would I just want good games. At the end of
I
the
mean,
day, I think that's kind of what we're both saying. We just want
yeah,
good games.
you just hope it comes out right, and they actually give a shit about it. And, well, I mean, at least the direction goes well with it. That's the hope.
Yeah. Yeah. Um do do you think they would ever try and redo some of the older Age of Empire games other than well they redid one, right?
Yeah, yeah. I think they had like a fan version that they came out with that they actually sanctioned as like a redo.
Oh yeah, here we go. Yeah, yeah. They did
Yeah,
redo Age of
it
Empire.
was the Age of Empires Definitive Edition. I
Yeah,
think it
okay.
was, right? And then they also had the what was it, fan expansion for Age of Empires 2. I forget if Definitive Edition was a fan one actually, but I know the expansion they had for Age of Empires 2 actually was a fan made one that they sanctioned. So
Hmm.
like they did do that, and Age of Empires 1 definitely needed a rehaul.
Yeah, that game is kind of ancient at this point.
It is jank to go back to. Like it's hard to pick back up. I loved that game when I had it, but I no,
Well, that
just
actually,
no trying to go back to it.
that actually brings up an interesting point. Are you excited or interested in StarCraft Remastered?
Yeah, I feel like I would be. Like I'd definitely be interested in giving that a shot.
Yeah, because I mean that was the RTS I was truly into. Like yours was Age of Empires. I guess you played. I guess you played a bit of Command and Conquer when you were younger.
Yeah, I played a bit of like Tiberium Wars and such like that.
Yeah, like my RTS as a child was StarCraft. That I imagine it was
Mm,
quite a few people's, but um, I don't really have a big interest in picking up a remaster of StarCraft.
hmm.
I don't know.
I,
It might just be it might just be that like I don't have a big interest in going back to a game I've played so much. But also on top of that, they didn't really add a ton to the remaster to drag me back in. Do you think you feel the same way about if they ever did a remaster of a game you played a lot as a kid?
I think it would entirely depend on the game because I can think of games that would actually do really well if they just got redone in a more modern version, right?
Oh, yeah, like
Um,
what?
this one game that I played, right? It was called Tides of War, right? It was an absolutely wonderful game. I've never met anybody else that's played it.
I've got
But
games like that. Don't worry.
it was basically. Do you know what Sid Meier's Pirates is?
I do. I've never played it though.
Okay, think of Sid Meier's Pirates, except you just control it straight from the ship. Like you can adjust like how far your masts were down. You can time the cannons when you shot them off, and all that kind of stuff. Just kind of travel the world kind of deal, right? And it was
Hmm.
done in like 1994 graphics or something like that, 95 graphics.
Okay.
And it was an awesome game. And I loved playing it as a kid. And I remember actually getting it to work at one point. It was actually pretty cool to still go back to. If that just got like a new coat of paint on it, I feel like it would still be a pretty awesome game to play, kind of deal.
Hmm.
And it getting like that remastered, version of it would do pretty good. But I don't think anybody even owns the rights to the game anymore. Like it's just out of circulation completely.
It's one of those games that are just dead beyond belief. Then there's not
Hmm.
really a big call
Like
to
it,
bring it back.
yeah, like let's see here. I'm gonna do a Google search here.
I'm taking a stab in
Tides.
the dark and saying you're not talking about a Pirates of the Caribbean game, right?
I am not.
Okay,
Of
I was about to say,
war.
like, I just typed in Tides of War, and I'm like, lots of Pirates games are coming up here, and he was talking about Sid Meier's.
Ah, I see like one picture of this game, two pictures of this game on here. It's neat. This wasn't even here like 5 years ago. Just letting you know when I last checked.
Hmm.
But it's basically not found anywhere, and nobody, I think, even owns the uh, the license to it, to my knowledge. Some studio called Devil's Thumb Studio or something like that. Well, I have no idea what they do.
Hmm. Eh, who knows? It's probably somewhere in the world. Like, you probably find a copy of it. Do you still
Yeah.
have a copy of it somewhere?
Oh yeah, I have a disc of it. I still have a disc of it. I mean, I can't get it to run anymore, but it exists in my hand.
Hmm. I found a copy of it online. I would be interested to maybe see if I can get this up running. Is there any form of online multiplayer?
No, this is before multiplayer online, man.
Hmm. Okay.
Actually, you know what? You know what? There was a multiplayer screen now that I remember about it when I was a kid.
Okay. Okay.
So yeah, that may be a thing. But I remember getting it to run anytime was always like difficult, but it was so fun to play. I've never played ship combat that was so as fun as that. I've yet to find it again. The closest
might.
the closest thing that ever came close to it was a more recent game called Windward, which kind of gets the feel of it. You're just not as in control as you were with Tides of War.
Hmm.
Windward gets a pretty good feel of it though. It just you're not as in control as your ship. That's more of like a hotkey kind of ship fighting game.
Okay. Well, I found a copy of this game. I might try it. I might test the waters, and see. We can have a just full-on discussion about Tides of War. We can bring back the old topic of games that you remember fondly and might not be as good as you remember.
That would be that probably would be a good idea actually.
Yeah, I'll save this page. I'll save it just in case.
hmm I mean, like, there's at least like a bunch of Super Nintendo games I got over here that would be an interesting thing just to kind of breeze through. You know, when we meet up next, I'll bring my Super Nintendo. Maybe bring that and see if we can get that working.
There we go. There we go. I mean, if we can't get it working, I don't know. I actually don't know what would fix that problem.
We could cry, and we can hold each other.
Is that how you fix it?
No, that was for the soul.
Oh, okay. That was some soul food.
Yeah, that's just soul food.
In conclusion, we're skeptical about Dawn of War, not Dawn of War, Age of Empires 4,
Yeah,
but apparently Tides of War, big thumbs up.
it was pretty bene.
It was 2 thumbs up for Tides of War. Age of
Yeah,
Empires 4,
we're scared children.
like a middle thumb, like a middle of the road maybe.
Yeah, like we haven't sentenced you to the lions at all, but like we're not saying that you did a good job in the arena.
For a game that has not come out or might not even have a release date.
Exactly.
Cynicism.
Well, this was the blank space, folks.
We filled it in with war.
War. War never changes.
War changes all the time. War
Oh, yeah,
100
there's-
years ago, we poked each other with sticks. Now we poke each other with bullets.
And drones.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's what's coming next, man. Drones with a knife. Steel.
Not if Elon Musk has anything to say about it.
Bye, people.
Bye.